Now that 2021 is over and the YouTube algorithm has changed for the year, it is time for my 2022 Formula 1 season predictions. My name is Chris, welcome back to CFRacing, and enjoy the video. Hello everybody, what is going on? It's CFRacing, your guys, and today everybody, just like the thumbnail and title of this video and even intro just said, I'm going to be doing my 2022 official season predictions. This is going to be a part one of a sort of two-part series. I'm going to be doing preseason predictions right now, and then I'm going to be doing seasons predictions after we have preseason testing, just because it is very hard to predict what's going to happen in this 2022 Formula 1 season, as there is a major regulation change that I'm sure you all know about. Like, it's Formula 1, it's regulation change. I'm sure you all know it. I mean, if you don't know it, then where have you been, under a rock or something? I don't know. But if you guys are new here and you want to show support to the channel, then make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. The goal is to reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I think we can do that. It is possible. I mean, we're at like 10K already, which is kind of crazy. So if we can do that, it'd be awesome. Also, hit that like button and subscribe if you're a Ferrari fan as well, like myself. That might have a little bias in these predictions here. I guess we'll find out soon. That being said, enjoy the video, everybody. So to start off, we have the Constructor standings, and I'm looking at my screen right now. If you see my eyes wander around, that is because I'm looking at a Word document pretty much. So in P10, coming in P10 in the 2022 Formula 1 season, I still have Haas. I know they completely writ off 2021 and their whole focus was 2022 pretty much, but I really don't see Haas jumping up the grid this year. Maybe other years they'll be better, but in 2021 they had a completely rookie lineup of Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin, obviously, and they didn't do good. And I mean, it's no surprise that car was terrible, but they also don't have the experience really to help develop a car, let's say. And I just don't think Haas will really deliver. I think that they'll probably be closer to the midfield than they were last year, but I don't think it'll be that much of a difference, so I still think they'll be in dead last. In P9, I have Alfa Romeo, and this also is kind of just like my thoughts with Haas and everything. They don't really have an experienced driver who really helped develop the car for 2022. I know, like, they had Kimi, but he was retiring. He knew that before the season, so I really don't think he did much developing with the car. Same with Antonio Giovinazzi. He's not the most experienced driver in the in-world, so I don't know how he is with setting up cars. They do have Valtteri Bottas coming back coming to the team, so I guess that could maybe do something. And they have Guanyu Zhou, who's going to be a rookie. So I feel like Bottas will perform relatively well compared to the actual performance of the Alfa Romeo, but I don't think Zhou will perform well. You see that in my driver rankings. I have Alfa Romeo in P9. In P8, I have Williams, and it's not because I think the drivers will do bad. I think it's because the car won't be as midfield ready as a lot of people think that it's going to be. They have Nicholas Latifi and George Russell, who basically developed that car for 2022. Maybe Albon's help a little bit after he was signed, but all three of those drivers, like, two of them came up in 2019 and the other one came up in 2020. Like, just like for Alfa Romeo and Haas, they don't have the experience to develop a new car. Granted, Williams could pull something out. Maybe they'll finish like P5, P4. Who knows? Maybe they'll win the Constructors title. I doubt that'll happen, but they have a good driver lineup. Don't overlook Alexander Albon and don't overlook Latifi, because they're both good drivers in their own right. I just think the car will be the limiting factor for those two, so that's why I have them in P8. In P7, I have AlphaTauri. This is also not because of the drivers. I think it's just because of the development team of the car. And we know that AlphaTauri takes a lot of inspiration from their cars from the Red Bull team. And Red Bull, you'll see this in my constructor standings before, they focused a lot into 2021 to help Max Verstappen win the title. And I just don't think that they will do as great a job as they did developing a car for 2021 as they're going to do for 2022. So I think AlphaTauri will finish in P7. I think Pierre will have a great season. I don't know how Yuki Tsunoda will do, but I think the car will be alright. Definitely a midfield team, but just I think it'll be lower end of the midfield. But I think by the end of the season, they'll probably have a decent car. And also, past regulation changes have shown that AlphaTauri, or Toro Rosso as it was back then, wasn't the best at adapting the new regulations. So that's why I think they're going to be in P7. In P6, I have Aston Martin. And this may come to a surprise for some people, as people think Aston Martin is going to perform quite well next year compared to what they did in 2021, and I think that's true. I believe they finished in P7, so P6 wouldn't be that bad. It's a slight jump up. I feel like Seb will perform quite well. I feel like Lance will perform bang average like he always does. It's Lance Stroll, I don't really know. But I don't see Aston Martin climbing up the grid as much as I do as other teams, so that's why I have them in P6. Who knows, they might find something out of their car, but they also did mention that the Aston Martin plan is a 5-year plan, so maybe this year they'll suck, or be at P6 at least, and then maybe in 2023, 2024, 2025, they'll climb up the grid and maybe become title challengers. I don't know if it'll be with Seb. Maybe Seb will retire at the end of the season. We don't know, but who knows what will happen. I think they have good potential. It's just not probably going to be the best year for them, though I do think they'll be more in the midfield, unlike where they were in 2021. In P5, I think these guys will be sort of close to the top 4. I have Alpine. Alpine and L-Plan could have a very good season next year, but from the previous years, I just don't know how that Alpine-Renault combination is going to perform. In 2018, we saw them perform so well, and then in 2019, they took a step back. In 2020, they performed so well, and in 2021, they took a step back. If the pattern continues, 2022 is looking like a good year for Alpine, and maybe they're just an even year team. I don't know, but I just don't think that they're going to be... I just don't think that they're going to beat any of the top 4 teams. I know the driver lineup's good. We do have an aging Fernando Alonso, who's solid. I love Fernando. He's a great driver. I think he'll perform great next season. Same with Ocon, but I just don't think they have the facilities and all that to become a top 4 team. Maybe in the future, just I don't think it'll happen in 2022. In P4, I have McLaren, and this is not because I don't think they will do as well as Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari, who you guys see later on in this list. I just think they don't have the budget and even sort of facilities to actually compete with the top 3 teams. Granted, they could be the best team next year. I wouldn't doubt that. And they did end their development very early on in the season, just like Ferrari, Haas, Alfa Romeo, Williams. They ended their 2021 development. They knew they had no shot to win the title, so they switched to 2022, which is great. I think they're going to do really good next season. I wouldn't be surprised if they win even multiple races next season. I just don't think that they will beat any of the top 3 teams just due to the amount of funding and spending they have. I know there is a cost cap, and that'll probably affect how they perform in the long run, but once again in 2022, just like I said for Aston Martin and Alpine, I don't think it's the official year for them, though it could be their best chance to win. I just don't think they will perform better than the top 3 teams. In P3, this may also be controversial as well, I have Red Bull. We saw that they were the team that put most development into 2021 to help them win the championship with Max Verstappen, and it worked. Good. I wanted Max to win the title, and he did. Thank you, Red Bull, for not having Lewis win the title for another time. That would have been boring. Definitely would not want to see that, but I think Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari, the other 2 teams, the other top 3 teams, even McLaren, even Alpine, I think they're all going to be very close. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a bunch of different winners next season, and I think Verstappen will perform so well. I don't know how Sergio will perform. That's why I dropped Red Bull a little low on the Constructors Championship, but I do think if things go right, they could easily win the Constructors. I mean, there's really nothing to say. It's Red Bull. Adrian Newey's a genius, one of the best aerodynamic designers of all time, probably the best, so wouldn't be surprised if they win the Constructors title, but I have them in P3. In P2, I have Mercedes, so that obviously means I'll have Ferrari in P1, and I'll talk about them a little bit later. So in P2, I have Mercedes, and just like Red Bull, I do think they put a little more development into 2021, which will likely, or even might, I don't even know if it will, might hamper them in 2022, as other teams like Ferrari, even McLaren, Alpine, all those other teams have had a lot more time to really get what they're doing together for 2022. I don't think it'll really hamper Mercedes that much. Like, I still have them in P2, and I feel like they'll mount a title challenge, obviously. Same with Red Bull, and even McLaren to some extent. But I just have them in P2. I feel like there is one team that you guys know who I love, Ferrari. I am biased, by the way, so, like, say bias in the comments. I don't care. But I think Mercedes will finish in P2. They definitely have the second strongest driver lineup as well, especially if George performs or even lives up to expectation. They might even have the first, like, the best driver lineup, but I think Mercedes will be in P2. Nothing against them, I just think Ferrari will do better. And that's my number 1, Ferrari. I am a big Ferrari fan, as you guys know. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, definitely the best driver pairing on the grid. Especially if Leclerc goes to, like, God tier Leclerc like we saw in 2020. That would be something epic. I have Ferrari in P1. They know Ferrari knew after the terrible 2020 season that 2022 was really their best bet to join the back or the top of the grid again. So I feel like they put a lot of that 2020, maybe even 2019 money into developing into the 2022 regulations, and I really feel like it'll pay off. We've seen on Twitter a lot that the Ferrari team has done very well with their like development and all that. They said they've gained what, 20 horsepower, something to do with shells, something like that. I don't remember the words exactly, but I think they're going to perform very well next year. And I think with Carlos and Charles, I don't know if they'll have the fastest car, but I feel like they'll perform the best team-wise and win the Constructors title. So now we're going to move on to the driver standings that I have for 2022. Now we have my 2022 driver standings, and I'm going to go through this a little quicker than I did the constructor standings, just because this video has already gone quite long already. Don't want you guys to be here all day, but if you are here watching, hit that like button, subscribe for staying along. You know how it is. So in P20, I have, no surprise, Nikita Mazepin. I mean, do I even have to say any more? I don't think he's going to do anything in that Haas next season. Maybe he'll score a point. I don't know, but that's all I have for him. In P19, I have Guang Yu Zhou, and I mean, he's a rookie in the Formula 1. He wasn't the best in Formula 2. Took 3 years to even come second in that standings, and lost to Oscar, lost to Mick, and all that. I think even with the better car, I think he'll finish in P19 over Mazepin, but I don't think he'll finish over P18, who I have as Mick Schumacher. And I don't think Haas will have anything higher than the 10th best car, but I think Mick might sneak in and score a point at one occasion this year, which is why I have him in P18 over Guang Yu Zhou. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe that Alfa Romeo will be a good car and then Zhou will finish ahead, or even that Haas might be a good car and he'll finish ahead of Zhou. I don't know what'll happen, but I think Mick will be in P18. In P17 and P16, I have both of the Williams boys, and I think that they will perform like very equal towards each other next season. I know, I mean, it's Latifi's 3rd year in Formula 1 now. I mean, good for him. Way to stay there, Canadian. I like it. And Albon is coming back. So I think in the beginning part of the season, Latifi will likely have the upper hand on Alex Albon. But then again, I could be wrong because there's no pressure on Albon and he'll be fighting, you know, like he did with the Toro Rossos and all those guys back in the day. So I have Latifi P17 and Albon P16. I feel like they'll score a couple points next season. I don't feel like the Williams will be terrible. So I have them here. I mean, they could obviously be higher if the Williams actually performs better, but I have them for now, P17 and P16. And just ahead of them, I have Valtteri Bottas. No reason other than I think he'll be actually a decent midfield driver next season. Like, he'll definitely outperform Zhou, and I feel like Bottas's qualifying will be the strongest point of his like season next year. I feel like maybe they'll set up that Alfa Romeo towards qualifying, so he'll have some better qualifyings compared to like maybe Albon and Latifi, who I would say are better racers, I guess, better in race pace than they are in qualifying. So I have Bottas in 15th. I feel like he'll sneak out some good points in that Alfa Romeo. In P14, I have Yuki Tsunoda. Once again, I think Yuki will perform decent next season. I just don't think he will perform like amazing like some people are predicting. And it's not because of his overall talent. I just think it's because the AlphaTauri will be the 7th fastest car next season. I don't think that car is going to be great, so I have Yuki in P14. And in P13, I have the other Canadian, Lance Stroll. Once again, this is just because I think the Aston Martin will be the next best car on the grid. So I have Lance Stroll in P13. Nothing against the guy. I actually like Lance Stroll, so, I mean, I'm Canadian. I guess I have to. But in P12, I have Esteban Ocon. And this might shock a few people because I have Alpine in P5 in the constructor standings, but I'm just not feeling it, you know? I'm not feeling a good season from Esteban, so I have him in P12, but he could definitely shock me. Like, he won in Hungary last year. Maybe he'll shock me again and beat Fernando Alonso and the other guys I have ahead. Speaking of people who I have ahead, I have Sebastian Vettel in P11, and I really think that you can flip Vettel and Ocon here, but for all those Seb fans out there, I did throw Seb ahead of Esteban. I do think the Alpine will be a better car, but I think Seb will be the better driver, so I have Seb in P11. I also think Seb might sneak a podium out just like he did this season, so watch out for that. He might even get a freak race win, because I believe that these cars are a little more to Sebastian Vettel's driving liking than other cars that are on the grid. In P10, I have Pierre Gasly, and this may be a stretch considering I have AlphaTauri in P7 in my constructor standings, but I think he will probably, just like he did in 2020, score the majority of the points for the team. So that's why I have Pierre Gasly in P10. He could finish higher. I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes like P9 or something, or I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes lower, just depending on how good or bad that AlphaTauri car is, because I think it's a real mystery for me next season. And in P9, I think this will be the best of the rest position next year. I have Fernando Alonso, and honestly guys, you can switch Alonso, Gasly, Vettel, and even Ocon all around. It was really hard to like compare them all because I think their cars will be relatively similar, but I do think it'll go Alpine a little better, Aston Martin a little worse, and then AlphaTauri the worst of the three. But I think by the end of the season, you'll see a crazy midfield fight between all those guys, and I have Alonso in P9. Now we're going to move on to the top 4 teams, so the top 8 pretty much, because there's 2 drivers per team. And in P8, this may shock a few people, but I have Sergio Perez. I think the grid is going to be a lot closer than it was in 2021, and we saw when Red Bull was arguably the fastest car on the grid, Perez was still battling for like P4, P5, sometimes P3. He was battling the likes of Leclerc and Sainz and Norris, so I mean, if that Red Bull car isn't miles ahead of the McLarens and Ferraris of the world, then I really don't see Perez performing all too well. But then again, he is a very good racing car driver, very good on the races, not so good in qualifying, but I just have Perez in P8. That might make people angry, but I'm sorry, it's my opinion, so what can you do? In P7, I have Daniel Ricciardo. Once again, this may also shock people because I think people are expecting a bounce-back season from Daniel Ricciardo, but he might have one. I mean, P7 is still pretty good considering I think there's going to be 4 teams probably battling for the title. So P7 for Daniel Ricciardo just because I think the other teams will have a faster car, and I mean, I put him ahead of Perez, so I guess that's pretty good. So Daniel Ricciardo, P7 for me. In P6, I have George Russell, and I think a lot of good things are going to come with George Russell in 2022. I don't think, I think you could probably switch him with number P5 if you're really thinking about it, who I have Lando Norris. I think Russell and Norris will probably be like some of the 2 closest drivers to each other next season, and I mean, it'll probably be like maybe 1 or 2 points separating them. I don't know. Let's make that up right now. That's probably a very bold prediction for me, but I guess we'll see what happens. So I have Russell in P6. I don't think he'll be as good as Hamilton next season, but in maybe the coming seasons, maybe by the end of the season, he'll be on Hamilton's level or just below it. In P5, like I said before when I was talking with Russell, I have Lando Norris, and I think he'll do very well next season compared to maybe his teammate Daniel Ricciardo. And I think Ricciardo will do well as well. I just think Lando is going to take the next step. Like we saw this year, he might even take another one and really lead that team into the future and prove why he is a future world champion. So I have Lando in P5. The only reason I don't have him higher is because I think the McLaren's going to be the 4th fastest car throughout the season, and I think that might limit him just a little bit. In P4, this may be controversial as well, but I have Carlos Sainz, and I think Sainz is going to have a great season. I don't think he'll be on the level of the top 3. If you're paying attention, you'll know who it is, but I think Carlos Sainz will definitely be there, very close to Leclerc, very close to Hamilton, very close to Verstappen. And I think he'll be the reason Ferrari wins the Constructor's title just because of his absolute overall consistency. And I think he'll perform exceedingly well next season, and I think he's going to win his first ever race. So I can't wait for that. In P3, I have Lewis Hamilton. And Hamilton fans are going to be so mad at this. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. You guys know I don't like Hamilton, so bias here, obviously. But I have Lewis Hamilton in P3, and that is because I don't think he's going to have by far the fastest car all season, but I still think he will probably take the championship to maybe even a title decider in Abu Dhabi next season. Not really too sure how everything's going to play out, obviously, because we haven't seen how the cars are going to perform or anything, but I have Lewis Hamilton in P3. So moving on to P2, I have Max Verstappen, and P1 obviously is Charles Leclerc because I'm a biased Ferrari fan. So P2, I have Max Verstappen right now, and I just think, I mean, if Red Bull obviously have the best car, then he's 100% going to win the title next season. Like, he's the best driver on the grid right now. Definitely better. I mean, I wouldn't say definitely better, but I would say he is better than Lewis Hamilton right now. I believe he's a more complete driver than Charles Leclerc is right now, but who knows what will happen. Leclerc is very good as well. I have Max Verstappen in P2, and honestly, like, the whole top 8 is a whole throw-up. Like, I really don't know who's going to win out of all those guys, so it's very hard to predict. We don't know how the cars are going to be, so I have Max Verstappen in P2, and as you can tell by my thumbnail in this video, I have Charles Leclerc as the 2022 World Champion, and I believe a lot of other people have this prediction as well. Besides Lewis Hamilton, a lot of people think Lewis is going to win the title again, which, I mean, I could see happening. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins his 8th, because he'll be angry after how he lost the title this year. But I have Leclerc as my 2022 World Champion. Clearly the fact because I think Ferrari is going to be the fastest car next season. And I mean, we know how good Leclerc is in qualifying, and if he's not taken out in the first lap of Hungary, then if he's on pole, he wouldn't have been taken out of that first lap of Hungary, so I don't know. I feel like Leclerc will probably get most poles. I think it'll be between Leclerc and Verstappen between most poles next season. And I'm just going to give it to Leclerc. You can easily give it to Verstappen as well, but I'm going to give it to Charles because I'm a biased Ferrari fan, and I want to see Ferrari win a title. So guys, that is pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. I'm just going to wrap it up right here with a little extra prediction. So my biggest team letdown is going to be AlphaTauri. My biggest driver letdown is going to be Sergio Perez, who drops him to Red Bull to P3 in the Constructor standings. The biggest surprise is going to be Ferrari with Charles Leclerc winning the title. And I think the biggest surprise driver is going to be Charles Leclerc as he wins the World Drivers' Championship. So guys, that is going to wrap it up for this video. If you did enjoy and you want to see more videos like this from me, then make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. You know, we're on the goal, we're on the road to 100K. If it happens this year, that'll be great. Hope this video performs well as well. I know you guys like predictions, and if you want to see more predictions from me like this, then hit the like button and subscribe. With that being said, hope you all enjoyed, and have a great day.